So in this video, I will show you how to do the basics with Fusion 360. We're going to be designing a puzzle cube block. So hopefully you already have your 5 puzzle parts designed. And now I'm going to teach you how to construct the individual parts. So in Fusion 360, when it comes up, you have a geometric plane. You are in isometric view, so you're viewing everything sort of in an angle. The first thing we want to do is we want to choose the Create Sketch button up here on the upper left of your panel. So when you create a sketch, you have to choose which plane you want to draw on. So we have a vertical XY plane, a YZ plane, and an XZ plane. It doesn't matter which one you choose. I'm going to choose this one here. And then I'm going to choose the rectangle tool so that we can draw our first square. Now, if you recall, the little wooden blocks that we're going to make the puzzle pieces out of, they are supposed to be 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to dimension this as if it's a perfect wooden cube. So the height is going to be 0.75, and then the width, hit enter, then the width is 0.75. So just to, that's what we want to end up with, but I'm going to rewind so I can tell you step by step what buttons to click. So once we have our blank sheet of paper that we're going to draw on, we go to the rectangle tool. We click once with the mouse, left click on the mouse to set the first point. And then we move some distance away in 2 directions. It doesn't really matter as long as you're moving diagonally. And then somewhere, it doesn't matter where, you click again. And that sets your square. Or your rectangle, I should say. Now, the reason it doesn't matter how far you go is because we're going to put our dimensions on it once we've drawn it. So now we're going to go to the Dimension tool, Sketch Dimension, and then click on one side. Click once, and then move your mouse upward, out away from the sketch. And then click again. Now we have this highlighted box, and it gives us the option to type in the measurement we want. Currently, the measurement's 1.20 inches. So we're going to type in 0.75 and hit enter. Now, if you are starting Fusion for the first time, it may be giving you 0.75 millimeters. So let's check something and make sure we're in inches, not millimeters. So come over here to the menu on the left-hand side and click on the arrow next to Document Settings. Mine says Units, Inches. If yours says inches, you're fine. If yours does not say inches, click on the icon with the pencil. And then we move over here to the right-hand side and we can choose the unit that we want. So set your unit for inches. And then click OK. Every time you open Fusion from now on, it'll be set in inches. That'll be the only time you have to do that. So we have 0.75 inches now is the width, and now we're going to do the height. Once again, clicking on our Dimension tool, click the side, and then move your mouse outward. 0.75 is our height. We have created a 2-dimensional sketch, but we want to turn that into a 3-dimensional object. The term that is used in CAD design to take a 2-dimensional sketch and turn it into a 3-dimensional object, the term is extrusion. So to create an extrusion, we need to first of all tell the computer we are finished with our sketch. So we click Finish Sketch. Notice my menu changes at the top. Now I have my sketch here, 0.75 by 0.75, and I want to extrude it to make it three-dimensional. So I click the extrude button, which is the second button from the left. Click extrude. And right now it highlighted it because that's the only sketch I have. So it went ahead and highlighted that sketch. That's the one I need. So if I have a cube that is 3/4 of an inch on all sides, my height or my extrusion depth is going to need to be 0.75. And then hit enter. Now from this angle, it doesn't look like anything changed, but that's because I'm looking at it from the top view. If we come over here to our rotation cube, if you hover over the rotation cube, a little house will pop up in the upper left. So click that house. And it zooms into our original starting point. And you'll notice now it puts you in isometric view, which means I can see all three dimensions at the same time. If I use the cube to rotate it, I click front, I only see the front. I only see the height and the width. If I use my rotation arrows and go to the right side view, I see the height and the depth. If I use my rotation arrows and go to the top, then I see the width and the depth. I do not see the height because I'm looking at it from the top. Click on the house again, and it takes you back to the isometric view. Now, if you get lost and you forget about the house, if you use the rotation cube, you can turn it in any way you want, and then just click on one of the corners to put it back in isometric view. And I can rotate it by clicking corners. And then if it gets all scrambled and your part's all backwards, just click the house again, and it'll take you back to your original starting view. So imagine, if you will, this is one of the wooden puzzle blocks that I've given you. This is one little piece of wood. Our puzzle cube parts are created with at least 4, but no more than 6. So I'm going to need 4 of these cubes. Better yet, I don't need the individual cubes. I just need to imagine what it would look like if I glued them together. So let's say I've designed a puzzle part that has a second wooden block glued to this face. So now I'm going to right click on that face, create sketch, and notice it rotates me to a flat surface again. I've already got the height and the width, so I can do one of two things. I can simply take the rectangle tool and trace the rectangle that's already there. And that now is on the new sketch paper, not the old original sketch. So it's like taking a sheet of notebook paper over a comic book drawing and tracing that artwork. That's what we're doing here. We have an original cube. We're laying a sheet of paper on top of that cube and tracing the outline of it. Once you're done with that, you click Finish Sketch. And now we have a new sketch. Now notice the top and the side are faintly the same type of gray, but the left side is a little bit bluer gray, if you will. That means this side has a sketch on it. These two sides do not. So if I go to extrude, the computer already knows which sketch I just drew, and it's offering to extrude that sketch. How much do we extrude it? Well, if it's only one wooden block, we extrude 0.75. And now it appears that I have 2 wooden blocks glued together. And so we can keep growing our puzzle parts. We have 5 different puzzle parts made with anywhere between 4 and 6 blocks. So I've got 2 blocks I've used. So I'm gonna put some more blocks on here. So I'm gonna make another sketch. I'm gonna put my sketch here again, do what I just did. This is a different shortcut though that I'm gonna show you. So if you have, instead of redrawing, let's say you had a complicated shape you were trying to trace. Instead of using the trace tools again, I can simply go to the Create menu and drop that down. Come down to where it says Project Include and select Project. What this is going to do, it's going to project the geometry of the original surface onto my new sketch plane. So click Project, and then click on the shape you want to copy. And it turned blue. Finish sketch, extrude, and it's ready. I can grab the arrow, get me close, but I need to make sure I type it and make sure it is 0.75. And hit enter. So now I have 3 wooden blocks glued together. Okay. Next, I'm going to put another cube here in the middle. Now this is going to be a little bit trickier. So watch what we have to do, because we have to not only make sure we have a 0.75 square drawn, we also have to make sure it's the right distance away from this outside edge. It needs to be in the middle. So we're going to put a sketch here, right click, create sketch. I can draw my square just like I was doing it earlier. Just make sure you are on the line, and it doesn't matter where you place it. It's not giving you any hints about where to place it. So we're just going to make sure we place it on the line. Click once, come across diagonally to the other side, and click again. And then go to dimension. And we want to, the height should be correct. So I can click on this line and I see that it's 0.75. You see it under the cursor? It's already 0.75. So I don't need, I can cancel that. I don't need to dimension the height because it's the right height, because this was already established as 0.75. So dimension the width. Now this may be a little bit trickier, so I'm going to show you another way to do width. If you click on this corner, see how the corner turns white? Click that corner and then click the opposite corner to pull the dimension. Sometimes it won't let you pull a side for whatever reason. So if you click corner to corner, it'll give you the dimension in between those 2 corners. So it should be 0.75. And when I hit enter, the square is going to shrink. Now, in theory, this square is 0.75. The left should be 0.75 and the right should be 0.75. However, I have not told the computer that I want this square centered. So in order to let the computer know that it needs to be centered on this big gray block, I need to dimension either the left or the right side, one of them. So I'm going to go to the right, click there, click the outside, and then set that. Ooh, I'm close, but I'm not exact. So 0.75. It will slide the square over just slightly. And now we know the square is perfectly centered. We can finish sketch. I'm going to go back to the isometric view, and that way I can watch the extrusion. So click extrude at the top right, top left. Click on the square I just drew, 0.75. All right, so far so good. Let's continue. I'll do 2 more blocks. I've done 4. I've got 2 more blocks in this puzzle piece. So I'm going to put a sketch right here. I'm going to draw a square and copy it like that. Just traced it. Finish sketch. Extrude. 0.75. So now if we rotate it, you can see what the puzzle piece looks like. And then I'm going to do 1 more. Let's do, oh yeah. So we're going to do one here. This is going to be a weird one. And I'm going to place that square there, like that. Finish sketch. Now, I'm not sure. I think it lined up perfectly. You know what? I probably need to double check. So I'm going to go to inspect. And I'm going to inspect from this line to this line. 0.75. Okay, I just wanted to make sure the dimensions were correct. So that's the inspect tool. If you hit escape, it'll get you out of that mode. And now we can extrude. 0.75. And that is my first puzzle